Hello, friends. We welcome you to the Legal Breeze. Today, we would like to talk about an important topic, the rights of the most marginalized segment of the society, namely the transgender and their rights protection. What are all the legal and constitutional measures made available to them, and how these are all protected and enforced? Background, actually, the Constitution of India um, prohibits discrimination based on the sex and gender. However, it doesn't use the word uh, transgender, trans women, something specifically, but it uses the word person in many occasions. It is a gender neutral one. That is very important. And the term people, again, this is also very important. It covers men, women, LGBTQ, everyone, as far as they are all human. That's very important. Now, their rights have been, they have knocked the doors of the Supreme Court, High Courts at various point of time. Very unfortunately, it has not been listened by the judiciary. The momentum gained only after the Nazi Foundation case. Nazi Foundation versus NCT Delhi, I hope. The judgments was rendered by the then CJ of Delhi High Court Sri A.P. Shah. That was the opening, that has opened the floodgate. That was a watershed movement, the development of rights of transgender. However, it was stopped by the Supreme Court once again in the appeal. Later, good sense prevailed over. We had the case called Nalsa versus Union of India, and now there is in Johar case, one of the celebrated judgment that includes the present CGI Dr. Chandrachud. I think he would have authored the judgment in this case. In this backdrop, Madras High Court has also contributed for the developments of the rights of the transgender, and our student editor Nisha Sri has done a research on this and found out only three cases which has been which are addressing the issues of the rights pertaining to the transgender. What are the cases? We will go one by one. Case one, it is called Tamilselvi versus Secretary of Health, Tamil Nadu. See, the medical people, facts of the case, medical people should be more sensitized. Unfortunately, like lawyers, they don't allow anybody to come into their profession. Anybody. They don't want to allow disabled to pursue medical education. They don't want to transgender to pursue medical education. This is very, very unfortunate. They are the most inhumane in this aspect is concerned. They don't allow the marginalized sections of the people to have access to the medical education. This is their history. Now, Tamil Selvi happened to be a transgender person. She has cleared successfully. She got a seat in diploma nursing, and she wants to get a postgraduate nursing, I believe. But this was denied once again. In the initial stage, also, she gets the order only through the Madras High Court. Even then, when she wants to pursue the higher education through for nursing, instead of treating her as a transgender and enforcing the reservation made available under the Transgender Rights Protection Act 2019, she was treated as a woman. Therefore, her rank was kept under 208th. Therefore, you are not giving them as a chance. Who are you to determine their gender? When they themselves have clearly made available, identified themselves that they are transgender, who are we, or for that matter, even the government doesn't have any right to change the identity of their gender. It is their self determination, right to self determination. Let them determine what is their gender, what is their sex. I think no one should have a right in doing that. That's what very, very important. The court has reiterated very clearly that she shall be treated as a transgender, a trans woman, and therefore she has to be the provisions of the 2019 Act are to be strictly adhered. So this is case number one. Case number two is called Sushma. Again, these people happen to be lesbians. They wanted to marry one another, but their parents are against it. They have given a complaint to the police, and police is chasing them. Meanwhile, they fled to Chennai, knowing their threat, that they are facing a threat from their own parents and from the police. They approached the Honorable High Court of Madras. Fortunately, Madras High Court is very much sensitive in this case. In this case, I think judgment was rendered by Justice Anand Venkatesh J. He has not only given the effective remedy by directing the police not to harass them. In fact, he has given the effective direction to the police to give them adequate protection. And he has also given good number of guidelines. At least 4 points are uh, noteworthy. One, there shall be a sensitization program. All officials shall be trained, including judicial officers. This is very important. One more interesting fact in this case is that to understand the nature of these LGBTQ, their psychology, psychiatrics, all these things, he himself hired an expert and asked the person to ask the expert to give a lecture to him, and he listened the same. Thereafter, he came and authored this judgment. This is very important. Normally, these sort of practices is not carried in this part of the country, unfortunately. But this healthy practice takes place in the countries like UK, US, because I know sometimes the persons need not to be an expert in law. Persons may be expert in economics. Today we have a doctrine called doctrine of fair use. This doctrine has arisen not because a lawyer, it is because of a economic professor in US. Likewise, we have a case called Vadwa versus State of Bihar. Again, this professor is from economics domain rather from law. So that is very interesting to note. And he has ordered to train all the officials, including judicial officials, police officials, all these things, and also directed the to take necessary steps to frame the curriculum to sensitize inclusive education. Again, this is very important. Sensitizing the parents is very important, and he also given slew of directions to see that there is a rate called continuing mandamus. This technique he has successfully adopted to ensure that the rights are really put into practice, both in letter and spirit. Then the last case, what we have, this is a very recent one. Again, it has a very historic significance. In fact, the Supreme Court, I think it is adjudicating. The government is not taking any stand relating to the marital rights of these transgender persons, LGBTQ persons for that matter. But Madras High Court bench Dr. G.R.S. Saminathan has given a judgment, very nice judgment, that the term bride used under the Hindu Marriage Act shall be given a wider interpretation so as to include trans women also. This is very important. This is very historic. Another interesting fact of this judgment is that it's not only merely relying upon our constitution and the case laws laid down by the Supreme Court of India. Fortunately, it takes care of or takes into account while interpreting this Hindu Marriage Act, Article 16 of the UDHR, because Article 16 of the UDHR makes it very clear right to marry is a basic, inalienable human right. So, therefore, the term bride gets a new meaning after this act. Accordingly, the registrar has been ordered to register their marriage under the Hindu Marriage Act. This case is known as Arun Kumar Srija couple. So, in this case, Arun Kumar happens to be belonging from SC community, Therefore, the court has ordered, the judge has ordered the government to pay whatever allowances which are made available for the intercaste marriage. So, this is a watershed movement in recognizing the right to marriage of the transgender, right to protection of transgender. Again, it has given one more important direction. SRS, sexual reassigning surgery, something they call it. They banned it. In fact, this ban has been done by this um previously by this Madras High Court. I think that was done by Justice Anand Venkatesh. I think the same is also being followed here. Again, the consent given by the parent is not valid. This is very, very important. Normally, the parental consent holds good for everything for the children. But here, when the children are intersex, then the parents have stigmatized views, so they are biased. So parents cannot be a natural guardian, and because they fail to understand the sentiments of these intersex children. So therefore, they made it very clear the consent of the parent is immaterial. Only the consent of the adult of the transgender or LGBT community shall be taken into account while performing this surgery. Unless they give perform consent, this surgery cannot be done. This is completely banned, and the people shall be encouraged to disclose their identity. So people should society should incentivize, government should incentivize and give them comfortable protection so that the inclusive life, sustainable development becomes the true story in the global economy. Thank you.